Hey everybody, welcome into Rink Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog. Make a play, Canada's choice for free casino game sports odds and poker strategies. And tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs play host to the Columbus Blue Jackets in their sixth last game of the season. Of course, the Blue Jackets are in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. Not really a lot to play for. So the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to try and continue to build on the good habits as they ramp up towards the postseason. And so it looks like for the foreseeable future, they will be without Matt Murray. Of course, he injured himself in the game on Sunday when Detroit's Lucas Raymond slipped and went careening right into the goaltender. Looked like Murray hit his head on the ice when that happened. And head coach Sheldon Keefe confirmed this morning that indeed Murray has a head injury. He said it was day to day, although they're going to need some time to kind of figure out the extent of Murray's injury. When asked if it was a concussion, Keefe didn't want to use those words other than to say, I believe I've answered the question. So it's rather ominous and not a good sign for the oft-injured goaltender who's A, had concussion injuries in the past, and B, has suffered his third injury of the season and has really not been available for a lot of the Toronto Maple Leafs' big bet on him. And so Joseph Woll is called up for tonight because Ilya Samsonov played in consecutive games unplanned. Remember, he had that shutout against the Senators on Saturday and then had to come on in relief and play over 2 periods for Murray in that game against the Detroit Red Wings. So the Russian gets a well-deserved day of rest. Woll called up on an emergency basis, and as a result of that, will make the start. He's been pretty solid, a save percentage above .930 in the 4 starts that he's made with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that really gets the question going for today. Is Joseph Woll the absolute, no doubt, number 2 goaltender on the Leafs next season? Drop a comment below because he's been lights out and he's still under contract. Seems like the easy solution there, but I want to hear from you in the comments. Ryan O'Reilly, a lot of people thought this might be the game that he comes back for. He has a broken finger, although it's getting to that point of recovery. He's been skating. He was on the ice for the morning skate on a line, but did stay out for extra work. So he is not going to play in this one. And they're just saying that he needs a little bit more time to recover from that injury. And there was a really telling quote from Ryan O'Reilly in the availability he did following practice last week. He said, I can push it harder, but what's the point? And really, that's what it is, right? Like, you don't want to put someone in with a finger injury that can easily be targeted when there's so much to play for in less than 2 weeks' time. So they've got that in that situation. But when Ryan O'Reilly is ready to come back, he will need to be activated from long-term injured reserve. And kind of under the radar, just looking at the roster today, noticed that Bobby McMahon was placed on LTI. So that's $762,000 that the Leafs were able to unlock or at least dip into the LTI pool when they need to maneuver for the time that Ryan O'Reilly is activated, because they don't really have the space right now. They can send a couple of players down and then they'll be able to do that. They did send down Radim Zohorna after his lights out debut in Ottawa, where he scored a goal in 6 minutes and 15 seconds of ice time. He did play against the Detroit Red Wings, but after those 2 games, it's right back down to the Marlies for Zohorna. Noel Acciari is going to come back into the lineup after he's missed the last few games with a neck/whiplash injury. Got a chance to talk to him. He did confirm to me that he did injure himself on Nashville's second goal, where he collided into both Hull and Giordano and was kind of grabbing his head afterwards. And remember, he had a head injury before, so there was a little bit of concern there, but the Leafs took a cautious approach. He says he's fine, he's ready to go, and all that stuff will take place. William Nylander did not skate. It was just an optional for him. Sheldon Keefe said he gave Nylander, Tavares, and Matthews the option to not skate. Nylander took the option, so there you go. But Nylander will skate into the spot that Ryan O'Reilly was in there in that spot. So you're going to see Nylander, Marner, and Tavares as a line together. So that will be very interesting tonight as well. The Leafs and their Pride game. It's the annual Pride night. You know, teams around the leagues have worn jerseys, and it's been a big point of controversy because ever since Ivan Provorov chose to not wear it, you've seen other guys like James Reimer, the Stahl brothers have elected not to wear it. And so you see these warm-up jerseys where not everyone's taking part in what's supposed to be a very inclusive cause. And so the Toronto Maple Leafs are not wearing a Pride jersey for the warm-up, although they have said, and it's true, that they have not actually had a Pride jersey for a warm-up in the past. So they're not taking anything away from what they were doing before. They will have decals on their helmets. In the room, there was all kinds of Pride stuff going on. They did have shirts on. So that was something that they've done, and they've taken part in the annual Pride parade as well. But that's a choice to not wear Pride jerseys, something that they've chosen to not have in the past. So there's not really anything changing. So if you see that and you notice that they're not wearing the Pride jerseys, their stance is, well, they've never had the Pride jerseys before, and it's about the actions more than about the jerseys. So that's their stance on it. Eric Gustafsson, he's been away on a personal leave for a family matter. He is coming back to the Leafs today, and he will take part in the warm-up, which is a great sign, and will join the team at practice. Of course, he will not play. He hasn't been around for a while, and the team is set to practice on Friday. So the Leafs will have a traditional 12 forwards and 6 defensemen for the game tonight. Speaking of the game tonight, myself and Rob Wong will have your post-game show. Make sure you rate and subscribe on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Rink Wide Toronto, presented by Bodog. Poker tips, sports odds, and free casino games. It is time to play. Rink Wide Toronto, pregame, postgame, every game.